It's a question a lot of people in college football are quite curious about, including Dean Legge, Matt DeBerry, and Ryan Curley, all of our friends at Riding Home. We've not disappeared yet. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you're saying these days. What happens if Carson Beck comes back, Matt DeBerry, which it seems like is likely? What happens if he comes back? I will open my drink and listen.
I think they have to be one of the favorites going into next season. A returning quarterback, if he does come back, who would be in his fifth year, second year starting. There are a lot of good quarterbacks, as we've seen a lot in the portal right now. They're going to help other teams. Quinn Ewers is coming back. I know that's Ryan's guy. If he continues to develop and play well, I think he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the country next year. But Carson Beck is still really good. He didn't play his best against Alabama. But if he can continue to develop and progress under Mike Bobo, he should be very, very good next year. I think it'll bring more positive vibes into the offense in the spring. It's key, especially with Brock Vandagriff gone. If Carson Beck decides, hey, I'm going to leave too, then you're looking at Gunnar Stockton, who was a very good quarterback. We've all three seen him play live multiple times, or one of the freshmen. And starting a freshman quarterback in this league with that schedule, fellas, is a recipe for disaster. I think they need Carson Beck to come back at this point. And if he does, I expect another very good season, especially on the offensive side of the ball, Ryan.
Give me 1 second, Ryan. I wanted to make sure what I heard. You said the favorite for what, Matt?
One of the favorites to win the whole thing next year.
Okay,
I think.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I think for him, look, Carson would get drafted. Would he be a first round pick? No, but he would get drafted, and maybe, who knows, maybe he could test his way into that.
Ahead.
There aren't that many quarterbacks better than him in this draft, is my point, really, outside of those top few names. He's not far behind that. So he could get drafted this year. I think all signs and all the clues are pointing to he'll return in 2024. And that's really, really, really good for Georgia, after this season, that would kind of feel like a lot of turnover, moving on to a new quarterback again. And he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country in college football this year. You would imagine next year that he would take a step forward after having a whole year of experience, knocking off all that rust, getting better, seeing what those situations are like in college, playing in a game like he did in the SEC championship game. You would imagine he's only going to get better from that. Another reason I think that benefits Georgia is they've got two young, talented quarterbacks, and one of them everyone thinks could be generational in Dylan Raiola.
You think he could be generational, y'all?
He has a generational arm.
Go ahead. Wait, let's just. Oh, the computer froze on me. I hope it gets this screen. Everybody gets to see it all at once. Wait till y'all see that one. Really quickly, do you think he's generational, Ryan?
I think his arm is generational. I don't know if he's a generational quarterback.
I think his ceiling could be that. I'm not going to say he's generational right now, but I think, like Ryan said, he might have the potential to. And that NFL arm, we've seen it. He's got a rocket. So at this point, it's up to him to develop the proper way under Mike Bobo. He could be very, very good generational. Maybe. We don't know yet.
Keep going, Ryan.
Yeah, I think it's good for those young players to be able to sit behind a quarterback that's, one, been around a long time, and two, now has played and understands what it's like to actually be out there. And so I think it's important for them. If it was either Brock Vandagriff or Gunnar Stockton as the starter next season, they wouldn't have that, because to an extent, either of those guys would also be trying to figure some stuff out that Beck would have at this point.
Do you have your Christmas gift locked in? I got a great one for you. Kelee Ringo signed DAWGSTRUCTION. We've got some of these left. The link is down below. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. I got some of these left. I don't know. You never can tell what's going to happen. And Matt's probably all ready for Christmas. Do you have the Christmas decor? What's the Christmas situation, Matt, in terms of decorative flair right now?
We've got some stockings. Brooks has a stocking. I don't have mine or my wife's up yet, but we've got some decorations going on in here. But
Ryan,
I've got a little tiny tree in my common area.
I will,
and one string of lights. That's what I got. Yeah.
Over at Noon's house, there has been a tree up since the middle of November. I think it was.
I like it.
Thanks for noticing, guys.
Yeah, actually, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in the corner. Well, anyway, that's Dog Post World headquarters with all that stuff. We were talking about Carson Beck, and I I think he likely will come back. It would be surprising if he did not. I'm not a great reporter, but I can see that the backup just transferred. We'll see what happens. But my suspicion is as this, and Matt, you correct me. We'll see. Carson's situation is that he could be a first round draft pick, possibly top 5 draft pick because he's playing quarterback. And he's not quite a certain first round guy. And this is a guy who's won a state championship and lost 1 game as a college football starter. I mean, what is your legacy if you come back to Georgia and win a national championship? We know what Stetson Bennett's legacy is. That was a painful loss Saturday night or afternoon, whatever it was. Probably excruciatingly painful for Carson. The question of the video is, Matt, if he comes back, what does it mean? My suspicion is, like you, that Georgia would, because I don't know what will happen. Michigan, Alabama will be a betting favorite for sure. Georgia will be a betting favorite with the return or without the return of Carson Beck. But the return of Carson Beck would be a significant move on that front. I think it would mean that they are well up there in terms of challenging for the national championship again.
Yeah, but again, it's not just him. They're going to have to add pieces defensively. There's no Brock Bowers to lean on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Kendall Milton, Dejan Edwards, your 2 leading rushers are going to be gone. So he's going to have some new pieces. We don't know if Ladd McConkey is coming back or not. He might.
Well, what is the discussion there, Matt? Help me out. I mean, why is he just not gone, Ladd?
Yeah, I'm assuming if I'm Ladd McConkey, I'm going to test the waters in the NFL. Marcus Rosemy-Jackson's been around since the 2020 class. He could leave. So they could be missing a lot. And the offensive line, your best center in college football, he's gone. Tate Ratledge, 3-year starter, he's going to be gone. Xavier Truss is going to be gone. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of different players on offense. I think at this point they really need Carson to come back because you don't want to be replacing a quarterback with 3 linemen, your 2 best rushers, a generational tight end, and other wide receivers. It'd be really, really difficult. And I'll say this too. In the NFL, it wouldn't surprise me if they started picking quarterbacks earlier and earlier because as we've seen this year, quarterback goes down, you better hope your backup can win you some games and help you get to the playoffs. And in some cases, like the New York Jets, who are playing their 3rd and 4th quarterbacks, you really need a reliable, solid backup in the NFL. And I think Carson could be that guy. So I do think sooner than later, maybe this year, you're seeing a lot of teams maybe draft their future backup quarterback earlier and earlier in the draft. So if you're a quarterback right now, you're doing very well. You could make a lot of NIL money in college and then have the opportunity to get picked maybe earlier and earlier because these teams have to have good quarterbacks behind their starter. It just is what it is.
Florida State could have used a good backup, Ryan.
Yeah, they could have. And I think for Carson in the 2025 draft, if he comes back and he plays better than he did in this would technically be his redshirt junior year.
Correct.
Year 4 of college.
Year 4.
Correct.
If he plays better in 24, and I do think it will almost be harder to play better as far as the offense goes, or at least we're not exactly sure how that's going to look at this point for who we'd have around him and all of that. But we're talking about him playing his way into being a top 10 pick in 2025, because right now it kind of looks like it's 3 guys in that draft, and it'd be him and Ewers and Shedeur Sanders are kind of the 3 names that they get popped out. I think when Ewers can play his way out over these next game or 2.
If Sanders doesn't leave, I mean, we'll see.
It doesn't seem like Sanders is going to leave.
I mean, I certainly don't have.
I don't know. And it doesn't seem like Ewers is going to leave. And he would probably be that first guy in 25 if Ewers does come back, just because, I mean, the talent is real with him. But, I mean, that's what's on the table for Carson. He would get drafted. He's going to get drafted regardless. It's just a matter of where he wants to go. But as Matt said, I mean, is it a problem? Is that the way you put it? I mean, there's a quarterback issue in the league for sure. I mean, when you're sitting and watching Monday Night Football and in overtime it's C.J. Beathard and Jake Browning, right? I mean, you're telling me Carson Beck isn't as talented as those guys? I mean, there's a lot of not great quarterbacks in the NFL right now, at least that are out there on the field because of injuries.
Well, if Carson comes back, he will have the capability. I mean, I don't know how he wouldn't have a very significant NIL deal. I would imagine it would be seven figures, and that would be well worth his time. He will play in the NFL. The question is, I mean, I think if you're plotting it out more than anything, is which gives you the best chance to go as high as possible. Is it leaving now or is it leaving next year? To me, it's leaving next year where you legitimately could be the number one overall draft pick. That's a very different universe than going sort of 52nd overall, which there's not really much wrong with 52nd overall, but you want to be in the right position with the right team, and just take it from there. Desmond Ridder got put in the right position, but he's not going to be there for long because he's not the right guy. And the last thing on the Carson thing, he's not had 25 starts. And that's like a number for those NFL guys. And the NFL guys are data nerds. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.